Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all this information, ladies and gentlemen. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight. What do I mean by that? I mean, anybody who shows up on this show with me, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, is a transportation professional, ladies and gentlemen. They are active in the industry. They have built what you might be trying to build. They have done what you might be trying to do. And we're just out here to provide information that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth. B, I'm living my American dream, and I'm going to help each and every one of you guys live your American dream as well. I got a very special show for you guys here today. We're going to talk about double brokering. It's all over the place. It's rampant. It's unchecked by the FMCSA at large, in my opinion. And I'm going to bring my business partner, Kyle Provost, up here shortly. Before I do that, as always, I'm going to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub. You guys, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers at some point in time. And the best part about what they have here, you guys, is you get paid to move these trailers. So if you're an owner op out there and you're noticing, obviously, rates aren't what they were, this is an opportunity for you to make additional revenue on top of what you can make by loading these trailers out. So what they got going, they got West Valley City, Utah, going up to Calgary, Alberta, and you get $15.50 US to move that. Now, drop trailer pools. This is how you get involved in some of these large enterprise shippers. A lot of them require it. You can create these now. They have some down in Paragould, Arkansas, needing to go to Mississauga, Ontario. And now look at it like this. Just because the trailer is located in Paragould, that doesn't mean that you have to find a shipper out of there going directly up to Mississauga. You can move it over to Nashville, get loaded up, and go up into Toronto. It just has to be picked up at Paragould and has to be delivered back into Mississauga. And you get 1,000 Canadian to do that. And then same thing over in Stoughton, Wisconsin, you guys, going to Milton, Ontario. $1,000 to do that. They have like 200 trailers over there. And then they also have Paragould, Arkansas, going down to Irving, Texas. You get $550 US to move that. And then finally, they have San Diego, California, going out to Laredo, Texas, and you get $700 US to do that. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My friends Xavier Campos and Stacey Steen, they'll be in the audience. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Tracy O. St. Clair, she's watching over on YouTube. I stream live on YouTube as well, you guys. If you guys go over and check that out, do your boy a solid. Subscribe to the channel, The Freight Coach. Good fucking morning, Sonny Sharma. Let's fucking go. He is right. Kat Akins, good morning. Thank you for joining. Jason Seguin, he says, good morning, Freight fam. Sanjay Singh, he says, good morning. Hi, Chris. Nice to see you. Louis Montana, what is up? Good morning, brother. Good to see you. And then Trucking Out to Mud, he says, good morning. Watching over on YouTube. Orange Shirt Gang in the house. It's a movement, you guys, created by my man, Sonny Sharma. He started saying it. But all right, I'm going to bring my man, my good buddy, my business partner, Kyle Provost, on with Broker Carrier. What is up? Dude, he's got, look at that, new paint, whiteboard.
Good morning. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. What's up, dude?
Hey, nothing much, man. Just enjoying the new digs.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Fresh
it's
up.
It's the same large room you've seen before. Just I used to be hiding in the southwest corner, and now I'm in the northwest corner. So
there we go. I love it, man.
You're not supposed to do those 90-degree turns, according to the feng shui experts. But, I did it. What do you do?
Oh, dude, I love it, man. Yeah, it's because like the studio's getting finalized right now, and they're building it all out. They're slapping paint on. I walked by it yesterday. I'm getting really excited. I can't wait, honestly, to get in there and then build out the official Freight Coach studio, which is going to be insane considering, started in my bedroom a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, your progress has been amazing, man. Everyone who knows you is proud of you. We'll put it that way.
Well, I appreciate that. That never gets old to hear, ever. So, dude, double brokering is at the forefront of everything right now. And you see this come about more in down markets than up markets, right? Because it's always the people get desperate and that comes in, but it's like, how do you keep people in check in this moment? I mean, I have voiced my displeasures about the FMCSA's lack of doing anything about this. And now when I say this, you guys, I'm not saying they're bad people. All right. I want to be clear. I'm sure they're all very nice people over at the FMCSA. But my biggest gripe with a lot of this is how do we throw our hands up in the air when they should have access to all of this information? Because I mean, I've been alluding to this a lot over the last couple of weeks on the show. It's really hard for me to like keep my mouth shut when I have really exciting stuff to talk about, because, like, I don't want to be like, oh, hey, this is what we have. And then Kyle's like, actually, we do have that, but Kyle's the brains behind Broker Carrier. There's no fucking doubt about that at all. He just keeps me like a kid in check. So what do we got going on from our side to combat this?
Well, in a couple of months, when we roll out the new version of our platform, we're going to have a lot more going on, a lot more like in-depth data analysis. But for right now, we just kind of use sanity checks. So, for example, when a carrier comes to onboard, now if you sourced them through our load announcements tool, then they've already cleared, right? They're already good to go, or at least they've done business legitimately at least once with one of our customers, right? But if you're sourcing from outside and onboarding them through our tool, first thing we're going to do, of course, step one is verify their DOT number. Okay, if we don't get back a result from FMCSA that shows a current active for-hire authority, it's done right there. The little prompt comes up that says there's no active authority associated with this DOT number. Get out of here, and that's that. If they do pass muster at that step, then we start looking at other things. Do they have the same mailing address as other carriers in the census, right? Not necessarily just our data, but the DOT puts out their carrier census every month, which is technically optional, but anyone who's serious about getting customers is in there, right? Do they have a different zip code than their dispatcher? Do they have a different area code than their dispatcher? Are they using the same dispatcher as some other carrier, right? You can learn a lot by who's running the dispatch there. Have they been reported by a customer as committing a violation? Even something as simple as, like, we hear from a broker that their name wasn't on a BOL. We're like, okay, that was probably a double broker. Give me the MC number. We're going to deal with them, right? So we've reached a point now where we have roughly 16,000 MC numbers in our master DNU list, which is people that we just like, well, we let them think they onboarded, right? We let them get through the process so that they're not harassing our customer.
Yeah.
But when it gets to the end, our customer gets an email that says a double broker tried to set up with you. We're not going to let that happen. Now, the next version of our platform is going to do a lot of neat stuff. Yeah. We have our new competitor on the landscape that likes to take notes every time I talk and then claim they invented all this. But anyway, what we're going to do is, when you send an address to a service like Google Maps, you can get back a data token called a computed polyline. And what we'll do is just build up an enormous cached database of these computed polylines that associate with illegitimate looking addresses. And we'll have a very quick referential check to see, not only does this carrier have the same address as somebody else, but do they have an address that we disapprove of? Is this a UPS store? Is this an Amazon locker? Is it one of those, it's an accountant office that has 2,000 mailboxes in the basement? These are not necessarily markers of an illegitimate business, but in the freight carrier business, these are such pervasive hallmarks of double brokering that we don't have a choice but to treat them as such. Yeah. So between our software and our people who do a lot of this screening work manually, which I've been doing, you can see this list of MC numbers behind me on my whiteboard. I mean, we're going to catch them, if not immediately, pretty soon. And we're going to get them out of your carrier list. And if you've used them, let us know. If there's anything we can do to help, let us know. But good people like us and Cassandra Gaines, we're out there. We're on the mission. We're gonna catch all these bastards, and they're not gonna steal money from real carriers anymore.
Well, and that's exactly it, man. It's because it's like I see a lot of brokers talking about double brokering. Obviously, it's all over the place, but there isn't a light shined on the owner operators who are taking the freight from these people. Right. So it's like for us to nip it at the source. And that's what it is because it's like, some of the information, this might come as a shock to some, but criminals like easy, right? Like they like easy. So they kind of tell a story through time. And if they're not checked on what they're doing, they're going to continue to do it. They just reincarnate. but there's a lot of key information that doesn't change, right? And why would you change it if you don't have to, right? And that's the whole thing with a lot of it. So I'm really excited about that. And then especially like this master list, because we're going to be able to give a lot of the owner operators a heads up, like, hey, if somebody is saying that they're from this company, no go at all. Do not book a load for them. And, you know, because to me, it's like, how do you spot them, right? And I think a lot of it is before you even get to the setup process as a broker, you can tell, like, it's very telling what they are. Because, and I talk about this frequently, man, it's like, it's really hard to negotiate with somebody who knows what they're talking about. They're looking for the lazy brokers out there who are not concerned about who they're booking or what they're doing. They're just wanting to book the load for hella margin or whatever the fuck they want to say. And they're putting all of this at risk, you know? So it's like, if you're out there booking carriers on loads, if you're not vetting them, that's start right there. Vet and have in-depth conversations with any carrier who you talk with. And then furthermore, flip side, owner ops. If you're out there working with a broker for the very first time, vet your brokers, okay? Ask them very detailed questions. I have never received a shipment in my career, even the freight that I'm moving right now, that doesn't have a pickup address and name, a delivery address and name. It doesn't have a piece count listed on it. I've never received a ghost load like that. And if the broker who you're booking with, whether they're legitimate or not, can't answer basic questions, run for the hills. Or the second one, if the rate on a specific lane is $1,000, for example, constantly moving at that. If somebody's offering you $1,800 or $2,000, chances are they're a double broker. They have zero intention on paying you any of this information. And yes, Vitaly, I have only shipped 3 full truckloads in my life. So this happened on one of them. So I'm basing my entire opinion on that. But no, man, that's the thing is it's like, you have to ask more questions. You can't just, because they're looking for that. It's just like, because I learned this at the NMFTA conference. I was back in November about cybersecurity. You would think that the cyber criminals and the criminals of the world want to go after one big fish. That's not the case at all. They want a bunch of $100 transactions is what they're after. They want a bunch of people who don't necessarily realize what's happening to them. They want those easy targets at scale because they're easier to swindle. Okay. They're easier to deal with in that regard because most small businesses don't have a legal team that could fucking sue them.
Yeah. Well, and that's what they rely on is the what are you going to do about it factor, you know? But speaking to your first point, there are a couple of hallmark behaviors that are pretty much universal to scammers, but double brokers tend to exhibit them pretty consistently, which is a big thing to remember is that scammers are always in a hurry. They're always in a huge hurry. They got to get out the door. They got to go. So if you have somebody who like just signed your agreement or just finished your packet or your broker carrier onboarding process, and then they're already talking about quick pay and I need you to pay me the very moment I send you that BOL. Like what's the hurry, pal?
Yeah.
Okay. 99 times out of 100, that behavior indicates a double broker. But even the one time it doesn't, it indicates a carrier with financial problems. Do you need money for fuel? Are you going to leave my customers' freight stranded on the side of the road? Like what's the hurry with payment here? Calm down, you know? So when you notice these bizarre behaviors from people, you know, there's no need to ascribe malice where incompetence would explain things, but no one is so confused by the freight brokering process that they would develop a panic reaction to it and demand pay me just from a freak out, right? Yeah. That is a scam. That is, they're trying to get out the door and go. But you know what, Chris? This story gets worse because there are mega brokers out there who knowingly use double brokers and they don't care just so they can hit their numbers. They use, you know, I call them the type A and type B double brokers, right? Your type A are the ones that we're typically thinking of who essentially steal the payment from the legitimate carrier. They take your load posing as a carrier, they rebroker it to another carrier, and then they don't pay those guys. There's a type A or a type B double broker who will pay the eventual carrier some smaller cut, right? So you got your mega brokers out there, your 3-letter Mensa instructors out there who use these guys on purpose because they know they'll get the load covered and just get it done and hit their numbers, right? Yeah. So you've got really big players out there feeding the seagulls and making our lives harder as we try to serve smaller brokers. You know, so it's like the fight is inside the house and outside of the house.
Yeah.
I get madder about it every day, if we're being honest.
Well, no, and it's true though, man, because again, it's like, to me, it's the business who's actually doing the work that's not getting paid in these situations, or they're getting drugged through the mud for 90 days or 180 days. And, you know, you started companies before, I've started companies before. Cash flow is everything. And if you're doing work, you want that good faith that, hey, the $2,000 that somebody's paying me for this 2-day run or whatever that looks like is going to be paid to me in 30 days, right? And again, it's to me, it's like, how do we protect these individuals, especially the small fleets out there, because they're the ones who are going to be going out of business in droves if this isn't like taken care of at scale and a lot sooner than what the government is necessarily known for. Of like, if they're talking about it right now in 2023, realistically, the earliest something will be done about it is late 2024 at this point, because it's the Q&A portion.
Well, and DOT is a cabinet level department. So if they want to spend more than 10 or 20 million dollars on something, it's going to have to involve Congress and a little bit of grandstanding from random reps who think they have something to say about it. I mean, yeah, it'll be tied up in political hell for 2 years. But we don't have 2 years, right? We have legitimate people getting ripped off all the time. So we're going to do something about it ourselves. And I've been thinking about a particular group of people a lot lately, and that's new carriers, legitimate new carriers.
Exactly.
If you've been in business for less than a year, or more technically, if your authority has been active.
Hold on a second, Matt. Shitbags is a good term. We can start with that. Shitbags is a new term for the other type of double brokering. We can go with that. Sorry.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Shitbags. Yeah.
But yeah,
an exclamation point to get through these filters. No, but you look at people who legitimately just want to get into the trucking business, right? But if your authority is less than a year old, brokers pretty much don't have a choice but to pass on using you, right? Yeah. Especially if they have tight compliance departments, you don't have a chance. You know, you have to know somebody that is either a shipper or a broker in order to get your foot in the door, right? Yeah. But this is too big of an industry with too much volume of work to be done for that system to work. So I've been really thinking about new carriers a lot. And you know, my career background, I'm a web developer and a marketer. I know how to help small businesses create big appeal for themselves. I mean, look at Broker Carrier.
Yeah, 100%. You know,
6 people, and I don't care who knows it. We're only 6 people. We're a 7-figure company with 6 people. You know, we know how this works. And for a carrier, there's a very specific, very good formula that I think is going to work really well here. And we're going to commit our resources to facilitating that for every small carrier out there. There are ways to make it very clear that you're legitimate. And I'm not going to go and list those all out again because of the.
Yeah, for sure. We only have like 12 minutes.
But there are ways to do it, and we are going to fix that problem this year. You know, these truckers, all they do is start a business, and then they get treated like they've done something wrong. And that stops in 2023.
Yeah, and that's our main focus. Yes, our tool is geared towards both, but our mission is to help the small operators on both broker side, carrier side. How do we make ourselves more appealing? How do we help ourselves stand out there? Most importantly, how do we help our users, whether you're a broker or a driver that's utilizing, you know, brokerage freight who is in the broker carrier network itself? What can we do to put information out there to help you guys, become more appealing out there to the mass, but most importantly, stay in business? I think if you followed me long enough, you know that I am a massive proponent of keeping people profitable, keeping people in the best standing, no matter what the market shift that it is. And it doesn't matter what's going on out there. If you're going to be a tech company or a broker or whatever, you should have a vested interest in cleaning this up, because if you don't, it will implode. I've gone on record in saying this numerous times. I will go on record saying this again today, March 21st of 2023. Double brokering is the biggest threat to our industry as a whole, because that is the core issue, which leads to other issues. What does a person do? What does a driver do who just found out they're not getting $8,000 for a load that they completed last month? they're not thinking straight. They're not sleeping right. They might make some wrong decisions out there on the road when they're driving, or they might push a little bit harder than they need to. Then what does that lead to? That might lead to higher traffic fatalities. Nuclear verdicts are all over the place right now. Again, I personally feel like this is what it is. And the fact that a carrier can reincarnate virtually unchecked, no matter what crime was committed or what fraud was committed the day before, that is, I personally feel like, the biggest threat to our industry as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can't trust your, in programming, we call it your metal layer, but this would be the asphalt layer. I mean, the carriers are the ones who actually conduct the business of logistics here in the real world 3D universe,
Yeah.
And if you can't trust that you have a stable, reliable base of capacity there, then your industry falls apart. You start suffering from brain drain, right? Do we want a bunch of talented, driven people to leave logistics because it's too messy? No, right? Because then it becomes a snowball effect and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, right? And the FMCSA has made it clear that solving the double brokering issue is a lower priority than collecting licensure fees. They either don't have the mechanism or the motivation to enforce their own rule about how you have to have a permanent address that is not a PO box or an apartment or a UPS store or any of that, right? So again, that's on private companies to handle a government policy. That's one of 50 examples I can think of. But the long and the short of it is, our mission is to make it easy for brokers to find legitimate carriers. And the mirror image of that mission is to make it easy for good, legitimate carriers to find brokers to do business with.
Yeah.
Right? So as we've started year 4 of our 5-year roadmap, that's our new aim. We got brokers pretty well taken care of. They're doing well.
Yeah.
They use our platform, but the carriers are still getting passed on, getting, the guilt by association effect. And we need to solve that problem for them. So when you look at our 5-year roadmap, you see that ambiguous, vague label of the universal carrier network as our ultimate goal. That's what I'm talking about. Every good, reliable carrier in the country will be known and marked in our system, and we will help them find every broker they want to work with, every kind of load they want to haul. If they expand, if they add capabilities, every broker on our system will know it very quickly.
Yeah.
And that sort of circular collaboration benefits everyone.
So I want to put this out here because, there's some potential red flags to look out for, and we already discussed them. And I think that this is one that, say you booked the load, right? You're the owner op, you're the carrier, you booked the load and you receive the bill of lading, and your company name's not listed on that. Have that changed immediately. Your name, your company name should be listed under there, no matter what, at all times. Because I do that a lot for a lot of the shippers that I currently work with right now, where they need us to create a bill of lading for them for the shipment, which our TMS graciously produces, and every single carrier name is listed on the BOL. The shipper sees it, that sense of mind out there, because there's a legally binding document on top of the rate confirmation that you receive that you are contracted to do this load. And they talk about this in this article on transportdive.com. And the title of this article, if you guys want to search for it, is 3 red flags that could signal a double brokering scheme. And they talk about this. It's not on there by federal law, you guys. It is by federal law that the name of the carrier hauling a load must be listed on the bill of lading. That's one of the ways that when we talk to folks, they realize they may have been scammed in that situation. That we tell them, well, why'd you haul this load if your name wasn't on there? And they say, well, it's pretty normal for our name to not be on the bill of lading. That's step number 1. You should always have documentation about that. We already discussed the suspiciously high rates. I get it. Rates are down right now in some markets, and they're laughable. I see it out there, you guys. I see what my competition's doing to drive pricing down. Some of them are basking in their moments right now, but fuck those guys, right? At the end of the day, if somebody is out there offering a suspiciously high rate, do not take the load, no matter how good it sounds right now, unless it is with a broker who you have worked with numerous times and they have paid you on time every single time. And they say, hey, this is a hot shipment I have for you. We can throw some extra money on there, whatever that looks like. But it has to be a trusted carrier, a broker that you've worked with. I would never do that on a first or even 5th or 10th load moved with somebody. I'm talking an actual relationship where you've picked up at the facility where it's picked up at, you've delivered to the facility it's going. There would have to be a checklist out there. And, again, to me, it's having the ability to track, and pick up on a lot of this stuff. And then furthermore, again, like we were talking, vet your brokers, you guys. If they don't have registered information on the FMCSA, or if there's nothing on there, if it looks suspicious, if it is that PO box or you Google the address and it shows up as a fucking McDonald's, check all of that information while you're starting out. This is what's going to keep you in business, And then another thing too, if they are working with like a Triumph Pay or somebody, that brings some more validity to their message as well, because those financial companies obviously vet who they're setting up in those situations. Now, I can't say that there's 100% success rate because that's not it in anything. But again, you have to vet your providers. If that broker is trying to rush you off the phone or get you to commit really, really quick and they can't verify information, don't take the freight at all. I know it's bleak out there in the market. I would rather sit as a business owner for another day and not be scammed, potentially scammed, because of this. You should never be pressured into doing the load. And we all know what we're talking about here. Oh, come on, man, just take the load. Just take the load. Take the load. There's nothing out there. Just take the load. Take the load. It has to work out for you as a business owner.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, you can never say enough about protecting yourself and doing your diligence on anyone you're going to do business with. The old running joke is if it's more than $1, you need a contract. And unfortunately, that's not really a joke anymore.
And that's also another shameless plug. You get a signed contract when you're with a broker carrier broker. So you have an actual operating agreement, because I can only imagine the amount of carriers out there who are set up with brokers right now that have never received the signed document from the broker themselves in those situations.
Oh yeah. No, when a carrier signs a broker's agreement in our system, they both get the exact same copy of the signed PDF right into their email right there. That's done. The carrier gets one at the same time. And I think it looks like we have 3 minutes left. So I'm going to do my last shameless plug really quick, not just for us, but for online onboarding services in general. That is a protection layer for the carrier as well. So if your broker sends you a packet via email, who knows? But if they send you a link to Broker Carrier or My Carrier Packets or RMIS or Highway or one of these, then they have proven and been vetted that they have an active broker authority and their bond is current. You at least know that much about them, right? So if you are going to set up with a broker and they don't use an online onboarding service, there's a red flag for your side.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the case is you need that documentation. And then furthermore too, I would do it like this. If your broker has insurance, which I know by law they're not required, but if they have insurance, that's a good sign. I would also call and verify that the actual policy is accurate. Or you know what, if they do factor, as a business owner, as an owner operator, you need to take that into consideration. If the broker factors as well, call the factoring company, verify that this is real, right? And do your due diligence is all it really boils down to, you guys. And in this situation, I just want to see trucking companies be able to identify a lot of this stuff, because there's a lot of focus on how the brokers get fucked in the double brokering scheme. We still get paid from our customer, right? We still pay the original double broker who did the load. And then that's generally where it stops. And then 60 or 90 days later, we get a phone call from you in that moment. Now, sometimes it might work out in your favor where the broker might just pay you in that instance. But that might not happen. And then that might be drug out for another 90 days or whatever that looks like. So I think doing your due diligence on the front end, you guys taking a couple of minutes is going to keep you in business no matter what. And that's my biggest concern. Whether you're using any of my services or whatever, whatever it looks like, you guys, I just want you to be aware of this stuff. All right. I want you to be aware of it so you can make the best decision for your business in the moment. This isn't a sales pitch for anything. If you use our product, phenomenal. We love you. We will take care of you. We will help you out. But if you're just out there trying to survive right now, follow this stuff and protect yourself. Ask in-depth questions. And if they can't answer it, they probably don't have the freight the way that they're trying to market themselves as having it. And yeah, that's kind of my little elevator pitch spiel to kind of end the show today. So,
and Google their MC number.
yeah, Google that shit. GTS. Google that shit. But that is it for today, you guys. And as always, if you saw value, share the show. You guys subscribe to it over on YouTube, The Freight Coach, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay, which will be up there on iTunes and Spotify later. Rank the show as well. You guys, it helps reach more people, because if you guys see value, chances are your network's going to see value in it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon. And now we're just